Hey everyone, this is Teresa Hagel, Executive Editor of Special Projects and Sustainability at ASI.
And this is Cassie Green, Content Director of Apparelist and Editor at Printing United Alliance. And you're listening to Branding Together, a new adventure into the converging worlds of print and promo.
We're here to bring you an engaging monthly discussion that dissects just how closely each of these industries align. Whether you're a promotional products distributor, commercial printer, apparel decorator, or a little bit of everything, our topics and guests will bring the ultimate crossover conversation.
When you're ready to bring your business to the next level, get lost in this month's episode, which is set to happen in 3, 2, 1. Well, welcome everybody to the September episode of Branding Together. It feels really weird saying that because I feel like I'm still trying to get accustomed to writing 2025, but here we are. As always, I'm joined by my amazing co-host, Teresa Hagel over at ASI. And as per usual, we have a few big industry headlines to share with everybody. Throughout the episode, Teresa and I will also share some of our top tips when it comes to productivity. Hint, we are leaning a little more into the old school, and I kind of like it. So I'm really excited for that part of our show this month. We also have a very special guest joining us who operates both in the apparel and promo industries. He's here to share his journey from intern to CEO, but more on that later. And of course, all of you Branding Together fans, stick around to the end because, as you know, Teresa and I have a really fun treat that we like to do at the end. This month, it's all about fun and AI-assisted games, but that's all I'm going to say. So, Teresa, yay, I'm so excited to kick this month off with some headlines.
Yes. Oh, yeah. I'm glad that we didn't give anything away for the end because it is going to be fun and silly, as it always is. But let's be serious first. We have to kind of earn our dessert.
That's right.
So first off, I was going to share a story about apparel suppliers broadening their supply chains amid tariff concerns. This is a really kind of in-depth story with a lot of charts, a lot of data, but it's looking at how suppliers have been moving their production away from China to countries with lower tariffs. And the reporter talked to Jeremy Lott, the CEO of Sanmar. And here's a direct quote from him. "We are out of China and we have no plans to get back into China." Or to go back to China, to be accurate. So that's a pretty strong words, right? So they really are making some big changes or have made some big changes to their supply chain. So I think that's really worth checking out, especially because of all the data that's just throughout that whole story, lots of charts.
Oh, yeah. And I think that's one of the things y'all do really well over there is sharing the data and numbers because it helps sort of hammer home the reality of what's actually happening. Also, fascinating, very, you're right, very powerful statement from Jeremy about not going back to China. I mean, I would imagine there's a lot of suppliers out there who are of similar sentiment.
Yeah, I mean, I think that, China has been such a huge part of sourcing for the industry and, apparel and hard goods, but with tariffs, lots of changes have to be made. Also, I think with apparel, there's also to consider like the cotton from how do you say that, Xinjiang?
Xinjiang region.
Yeah, the forced labor. So I think that comes into play as well. But the tariffs are definitely a huge part of it as well.
Oh, without a doubt. Well, I also have some headlines to share, not necessarily along those lines, but big industry news. And this is technically from the month of August, but because of timing, we are sharing it during our September episode. Gildan to acquire Hanes brands. Of course, everybody knows about this, right? This is like
big news.
Right. This is like as big as the Alpha Broder or SNS. I mean, this is industry shaking, right?
Totally.
Especially as we start to see, right. Like there's just tons of M&A activity in the industry. I had posted about this on LinkedIn, and of course it gained comments on both sides of the fence in terms of how people feel about this, regardless of how you feel about it. This is a big transaction. So just to give you like a very quick look at this for those who are curious, the transaction implies an equity value of approximately $2.2 billion and an enterprise value of approximately $4.4 billion for Hanes brands. So this is a big deal. I mean, obviously we all know Gildan, we all know Hanes, two of the biggest players in the industry. Not technically like officially closed the deal yet, but it's looking like that's going to be do this.
Yeah.
So keeping an eye on that one for sure.
Oh, yeah, definitely. We are too. Of course, that affects promo as well. So it's a big one. Um, it is always interesting. I kind of look back on my what's it been like 11 years in the industry, and just even thinking back to some of the suppliers that no longer exist. I think that goes back to like, when I started, there was like Alpha and Broder Brothers, and now it was Alpha Broder, and then they acquired a bunch of other people, and now they've been acquired, and it's just like it's a little hard to keep track of, but it is what it is. Um, well, I have one other piece of news to share, and this is kind of a big changing of the guard in promo in the distributor side of things. Mark Simon, he recently retired as the CEO of Halo Branded Solutions. That's one of the big top 40 companies. Jim Hilt was named as his replacement. So Mark Simon had been at Halo for almost a quarter of a century. He led the company out of bankruptcy into becoming a $1 billion distributor. So that's a pretty big deal. That's
Ooh, yeah.
really, I think, as some people I spoke to described it, they called it kind of a phoenix, from the ashes story. Really, he really brought them back. And his replacement, Jim Hilt, most recently served as CEO of Asset Marketing Services, and he's also held senior leadership roles at Shutterfly, Express, Barnes and Noble, Sears Holdings, and IBM. So all kind of big, consumer places that we've all heard of.
Yeah, that is very big. And obviously, like you said, Halo's big name now. I mean, that's so it'll be interesting to see how the changing of the guard
Yeah,
plays
yeah,
out.
those are big shoes to fill for sure.
Yes.
But it looks
Oh,
like, I mean,
absolutely.
it sounds like Jim has the chops to do it. I mean, he's had a lot of
Totally.
really, well-known kind of big jobs. So we'll see.
Yeah. Probably knows a little bit about what he's doing, I would venture a guess. Awesome. Well, the second headline I have to share is also in the M&A world. Sorry, friends, but that's just what's happening in the industry. It's the big stuff. This is on the commercial printing side, though. So Wallace Graphics acquires Standard Press. My sister publication, Printing Impression, shared this. Wallace Graphics is a pretty big player in the commercial printing space. They're out of Atlanta, Georgia. They announced the acquisition of a fellow Atlanta-based company, Standard Press. And they said the combined print capacity of both companies will reportedly make Wallace Graphics one of the largest print organizations on the entire East Coast. I mean, this could be a huge deal. Wallace Graphics, with this acquisition, anticipates being on pace for 60 million in annual revenue. So that's pretty big. So again, as we start to see more of like this M&A activity, we'll start to see it definitely change and sort of shape the industry in terms of who are the big players. It'll also be interesting to see how it makes space for up and comers in every print and
Yeah.
promo vertical and how that plays out.
Yeah. Yeah. That is interesting because I think a lot of times we look at the consolidation and the mergers and acquisitions as just sort of like a shrinking. I mean, even though, like more money going to smaller, fewer
Right.
players, but I think there does leave, as these companies get bigger and bigger, there is room for some disruption and for smaller people to kind of move up the ranks. So
Yeah,
it is an
I think
interesting
so.
thing to keep an eye on. Um,
Yeah. So
so
those are my two big headlines.
perfect. Yeah, I mean, these are all really big headlines. It was, I guess, a pretty momentous end of summer, and back to
Yeah.
school. And I'm sure there'll be even more news before the year is over.
No, absolutely.
So I mean, with all that said, I wanted to transition to kind of the theme of our show. There's a lot of themes, I think, but a lot of it is about AI and automation, and we're going to be talking to our guest about that. And they're huge discussion points at ASIs. I'm sure that you guys are also talking about them. We're always looking at ways to streamline our internal processes. The print and promo industries are talking about it. But my personal belief is that it doesn't matter how much you invest into technologies that supposedly are going to save you time. If you already have it's a flawed prospect if you and your team don't already have the systems in place to work efficiently. So it's like you can throw money and money, 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 but if people aren't talking to each other or if they're not going to follow whatever new, procedure you have, it's not going to work. So I guess as I put it succinctly in my little notes, you can't solve chaos just by throwing money on it. You have to have You got to go back to the old school, basically. So that's what I wanted to talk about with you is just some of your best like productivity tips, time saving hacks that are old school, right? No robots in.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
you start us off.
for the record,
Yes.
yeah. Yeah, for the record, I agree with you here, Teresa. I'm a huge AI adopter. Like, it has changed my life in so many ways in terms of like efficiency and how I can process content and things like that. However, that being said, it's because, yes, we over here at the Alliance and me personally have a lot of processes in place that are already working. So this is just a tool to those processes. So I love that we're talking about this. This was Teresa's idea. I love it. Sure. Yes. Happy to send share my first tip. Mine is so, okay, I'm sort of cheating with this one, but sort of not. So, mine is setting focus time on your work calendar.
Okay.
And so, I do use a plugin
Mhm.
on my Outlook account to do this, to like go in and set my focus time based on like where my meetings are set up every week in my Outlook calendar. However, like it goes in, sets that focus time. I can go in and manually adjust it, but where I implement it as an old school human is during my focus time, I do blatantly ignore any Teams messages or chats that come through or text messages or anything else that is vying for my attention. Like, it allows me to truly focus in on what I planned on working at.
Yeah.
And so like that, it forces me to sit down and be like, okay, during this like 90-minute block of time, I am only going to work on editing podcasts, or I'm only going to work on um creating some video content, or I'm only going to work on assigning my deadlines for next month. Like, that is huge. So it is truly like a productivity tool with the help of AI. However, it requires a lot of like holding myself accountable,
Right.
if that makes
Right.
sense.
Right now, I think that's a perfect example because eh, on the same token, it doesn't matter how much focus time you put on the calendar or no meeting, Thursdays or whatever. If people don't follow through, if they don't actually focus, it doesn't matter. It's not going to help. Um, and the thing is, like, I've seen like studies about how much time is wasted or how much like focus you lose just having to answer emails or answering team messages all the time. And everyone likes to say, "Oh, I can multitask. I'm so good at multitasking." It's really not true. The research does not bear that out. So you really do need to take that time to focus on one thing and get it right. And there's a lot of deep work as editors and writers that we do that you really can't do well if you're trying to answer emails or kind of be in like the thick of what's going on, like, with everyone else. You need to, like, hone in on what you're doing and just kind of focus on that. So it's very important. I agree. So mine is on a similar line, and I guess it doesn't have to be old fashioned, but my tip is just to start each day with a good old fashioned to do list, and then actually cross off the items as you complete them. So it helps you stay organized and it gives you a sense of accomplishment. I love like crossing things out, which you could do it online too, or you could just get like an actual piece of paper, print, and write something out and cross it off. I think one of my coworkers said that he'll actually, if he adds if he adds something during the day that he has to do and it wasn't on the to-do list, he will actually write it down just so he can cross it off, which, seems a little silly, but I get it because it really like seeing all those things crossed off. Sometimes I go through a day and think I've gotten nothing done. But if I actually have my list and I'm looking at it, I'm like, well, no, I actually did a lot of things. It just doesn't feel like I got stuff done. So
Mhm.
I think it's a good, there's a lot of things at play. It's like psychological, but it's also a good way to structure your day and keep you organized.
Oh, it's so satisfying. I love manually crossing something off my to-do list. It feels so good.
What's your next?
Um, so that's perfect. I'm so glad you brought that up because that ties in so perfectly with my next tip, which is like I do something called a weekly plan. So I have, for those who are watching the video version of Branding Together, I still have a
Nice.
physical planner
Beautiful.
where I write all my stuff, right? And so I will sit down on Sunday night after I put my kids to bed and I will go through and I will write out all of the things that are going on during the week, whether that's like work meetings, whether it's doctor's appointments, after school activities, upcoming weekend, sports games, whatever. I love writing it all out by hand, and what this does is it helps me, like, mentally prepare for the week ahead. Otherwise, I will wake up at, like, 2 or 3 a.m., and I will just start, like, on the crazy train of running through all the things I need to prep for. By doing this, it allows me to not only, like, let that go and not wake up in the middle of the night stressing about everything I have to do, but then I can actually conceptualize, okay, what is it that I need to be allotting and prioritizing my time toward? And then what are the things that I know, what are the low-hanging fruit that I can knock off right out of the gate? What are the things I need to not forget? And all of that
Yeah.
kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So, yeah, definitely love the handwriting aspect
Yeah,
of it.
yeah. Yeah, there's something very contemplative and actually, like, taking the time to write it out, I think is just brilliant. And of course, and as a working mom, there are so many things. It's not just all the work stuff. You do have to keep track of, like, orthodontist appointments and this appointment, and do I need to, whatever. There's always something that you have to kind of keep all together, and having it written out, very important. So my next one is sort of like, a lot of these have been kind of individual focus. This is more of like a team wide thing, and I think it's just having good communication with your team. Um, and I can give an example of how at ASI in our editorial team, it wasn't always the best communication because we used to have multiple magazines that we were each kind of focused on, and it's not that we didn't like each other or didn't want to talk. It's just that I don't think we were always as coordinated with, like, who is writing this story, or like, this magazine is going to write a story on this. Oh, but they just did that 2 months ago. You know what I mean? So now that we're kind of more digital focused, we actually have a better system of keeping track of who's writing what and when. It kind of keeps everyone in the loop, avoids duplication of efforts, and just like lets everybody know kind of what's on deck, what's going to need to be edited or proofed or designed. Um, so I think just having a really kind of strong communication policy of maybe how often you should be answering, or how quickly you should be answering your team's messages, or how quickly you should be answering an email, and how are we going to keep track of who's doing what, and how does everybody see that. I think having that transparency and available to everyone, um, I think really makes a difference in productivity and keeping everybody on task.
Mhm. I think in particular, something you said is so crucial, not duplicating efforts. Oh my gosh. If you can avoid that, you're winning,
Yeah. Yeah.
like winning.
Yeah. All right.
Um,
Do you have another
yes.
another tip?
I have one more.
Okay.
And this is my favorite one, so I saved it for last. Okay, so for me, my last tip is food.
I love
And
food.
okay, right, I know, right? But hear me out. Okay, so it seems crazy to say that, but like I'm not really a morning person. And I know some people who are gonna like grab their torches and pitchforks for me saying this, but I like don't eat in the morning. Like I cannot eat before like 9 a.m. because I can't. I don't know why. Like I just can't. And that's fine. But sometimes because of that, like I will then get totally immersed in my day. I will forget to eat. I will look up from my desk. It'll be like 1 p.m. and I am now to the point of so starving that I'm ready to like chew up my computer keyboard,
Do you
right?
get hangry?
And so I get super hangry. Oh my goodness. And then you realize like you are not productive when you're in that state, right? Like you make silly mistakes, you make like brain float mistakes, and you're not paying full attention and you don't feel well and all these things. And like I have talked to members of our editorial staff and like team members here at the Alliance, same thing. They will go until like 1 or 2 p.m. without eating. And we all just collectively are like, this is really unhealthy, not only for our bodies, but for our productivity.
Yeah.
Like you can't be productive if you're not fueling properly. So food. That's my thing. Like I keep a granola
Yeah.
bar like at my desk at all times. So that way if I forget, I can
Yeah.
just grab something quick.
Yeah, no, I think that's super smart. And my last tip is also kind of along the same lines. And I'm thinking, like, there's that whole, and I hate this term, but like the grind set where people are just like go, 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 go. And this may sound counterintuitive to people that follow that methodology. However, I believe you need to schedule many breaks throughout your day. You need to get away from the desk, maybe go for a walk, something to refresh your mind, recharge your productivity, recharge your creativity. Vacations, staycations, whatever it is, that's also super important. And I mean, like, I like to go, I don't do it every day, but during lunch, I like to go on a walk. And I don't know how many times I've been on a walk and it's just like, I'm not consciously thinking about work, but some issue that I've been thinking about or some upcoming feature or some kind of thing just starts going in the back of my mind. And if I had just been sitting, at my desk trying to get stuff done, I never would have had that little burst of inspiration. So I'm a huge advocate of breaking up your day with walks or go refill your coffee or whatever it is that you want to do. You just cannot sit for 8 hours and be your most productive. You need those breaks.
Amen, sister.
Printing United Expo is where the entire printing industry unites under one roof. Explore cutting edge technology from over 800 exhibitors, see live product demonstrations, and discover solutions that can transform your business. With exclusive education sessions, expert insights, and endless networking opportunities, this is the must-attend event for anyone in print. No matter your role, Printing United Expo delivers the innovation, connections, and knowledge to help you stay ahead. Join us this October 22nd to 24th in Orlando. Learn more at printingunited.com and experience the future of print today.
All right. So I am so excited to welcome this month's guest. Today, we're going to be talking with Joel Freet, who worked his way up from an intern to becoming CEO of Counselor top 40 supplier Cutter & Buck, an apparel brand based in Seattle that sells both at retail and in the promotional market. Joel has been with Cutter & Buck for more than a quarter of a century, and he's been the CEO for over a decade. Thanks so much for joining us, Joel. I wanted to start out and ask you about your journey from intern to CEO. Can you kind of give us, I mean, because that's like a really cool story, right? That's like the perfect kind of elevator pitch. I started out, as the intern, and now
Sure.
I'm the CEO. So like, what is this rundown? Give us a rundown of your career and like your secret for climbing the corporate ladder, but doing it at just one company.
Yeah. Hey, thanks for having me. Yeah, I've answered this question a lot in my life. It wasn't a big deal until recently. They're like, hey, you started at the beginning. But yeah, I mean, I think a big thing is like sticking it out through hard times. Like that's a big thing in my 20, almost 27 years, I guess, or 26 and a half or something. There's a lot of hard times that come. You guys remember the global financial crisis and the pandemic, and you just stick it out through hard times. And yeah, I mean that's probably a cornerstone of staying with one organization or doing one thing for a long time is sticking it out. Like things are going to get hard, and yeah, hard things make you better. And I've always used that as an opportunity to grow. Yeah, and as the company changed, I just have always been kind of a huge advocate for change, and that's what something that's cool about Cutter and Buck. It's the right size that if you want to make change, then take it on and make change happen. And that's kept me really excited about working for Cutter and Buck for such a long time.
What were you doing when you were an intern? Like, what did you start out doing? How is that different from what you're doing?
I I was an assistant. I was assistant to the tournament division. It was like assistant to the traveling secretary kind of a job. I was I was like everybody in the apparel business. I was steaming samples and putting sample lines together and like putting stickers on hangers, and I was just doing running mail between buildings, like whatever it took at the start. So I got out of University of Washington here in Seattle, and then on Monday started at Cutter and Buck and just took on whatever job they could throw at me. And I was lucky enough to be in the tournament division, which at the time was in a very big merchandising business for us, and has remained to be a great merchandising business for us. But I got to go to like the U.S. Open for golf, like my first week on the job. So like immediately I was thrust into it. So it's been really cool all
Yeah.
the way along the
Yeah.
way. Like who could turn that down?
Right.
Like, oh my gosh, that's amazing.
Would
21-year
intern
old kid
you
at the US Open.
Would intern you think that you would be CEO today? Like, do you think the younger you would be surprised by how your career has turned out?
No.
Oh, okay.
Love that answer.
No. No, I've been trying to run a company. I've been trying to lead the whole way. I came up through leadership. I really have had my eyes set on leading a division and leading a business area and then leading the company. Absolutely. I've wanted to do this along the way. So yeah, I've wanted to do this. It's definitely a dream job of mine for sure.
Cool.
Joel, remind us, what year did you take over as CEO?
A long time ago now, 2014.
Okay.
And it was April Fool's Day. It's easy to remember. April Fool's Day, 2014. There was a bunch of press coverage on it. And my wife's aunt messaged me that it was very funny because she thought it was a practical joke, as April Fool's Day joke. So it's like famous in my family that it was that even my family thought it was a joke that I had become CEO on April Fool's Day, 2014. So it's been a while now. It's been 14 years. It's been a lot of ups and downs. Certainly through the pandemic was a big bunch of changes and such.
Yeah. Can you talk a little bit more about that actually? Because so when you started talking, answering Teresa's question, you talk about sticking it out through the challenge. And then you mentioned the pandemic, you mentioned the 2008 recession, all those things. So, what have been some of the biggest challenges you've faced as a CEO, and then in turn, how did you sort of approach the challenge?
Well, yeah, I mean, I guess, I mean, as a CEO, anybody who runs a business area, everybody who has more people that they're responsible for than themselves can understand. A parent, a caretaker, anybody who's responsible for more than themselves can understand. I mean, there's ups and downs, there's challenges every single day, whether it's putting food on the table or what have you. It's a challenge all the time. So there's always challenges of the business. There's external challenges, there's internal challenges. And so one of the things that really has been, the biggest challenge that we've worked to overcome at Cutter and Buck was that Cutter and Buck was founded as a retail company. And we've been very active in retail for such a long time and have grown these really nice businesses in retail. And yet we found an awesome space in the branded merch business, both on the licensing sports side as well as on like the corporate promotional side as well. So it's been like, so we have this like super diversified businesses, and anybody who's listening who runs a diversified business knows that it's hard. It's very easy to kind of do one thing and really do it well. And so the biggest challenge probably that I had to face was, how do you make a company that wants to do all of these things and actually can, how do you simplify it? How do you make the company simple without turning off all of those spigots and say, we're just going to be this, we're just going to do, outside advice would be like, do that. But like internally, you've got a lot of, you got a lot of things that you got to work out. You got a lot of businesses, you got a lot of revenue to show up. And so the biggest challenge, frankly, was solidifying the company on really onto one business model. And now we take that one business model and we apply it to any of the businesses that we're in. So we actually have, to speak to the space a little bit specifically, we have one product strategy at Cutter and Buck. We have one. And that one product strategy is our evergreen product series, which we carry, for a long time. It's a series and a series and a series in these different areas. And we take that out to market in all of our channels simultaneously. And like that is very hard. Even today, that encounters resistance in the market, because in the retail business, they'll say, hey, where's your spring 26? Where's your spring 26 collection? Be like, here's our spring 26 collection. And they're like, but it's available now. And you're like, yeah. So in solidifying around one business strategy at Cutter and Buck, it continuously faces resistance in the space, but we're finding great success where what we find is that the consumers in the retail space, the retailers, they want zero inventory, print on demand models, very much so. So does branded merch, so does corporate promotional, so does teamwear. So everybody wants what we got. And so, or what we can do really well. And I don't mean that as like a thing, but like everybody wants that stuff if you go looking for it. And so that's what we went looking for, is what business in all of our channels that we're servicing, what is the business model that we could be shared across all those businesses. And I would say that the decision to move in that direction, that came actually in late 2019. I mean, we say like good, clean living, like just good luck that happened at the end of 2019, because it really focused our business through the pandemic. Yeah. And now we've really just been flying ever since then. And there was tremendous challenges. Like, I don't want to be we had to let a lot of people go. We were forced to shut down our operation with 260 people in Seattle in April of 2020. So like there's tremendous challenges that we have, personally and privately and all those things overcome those things. But for the business to thrive, 36 years later, here we are, and Cutter and Buck is doing better than ever. We're really proud of that. And that's been about doing one business model.
Yeah.
Too long of an answer, I'm sorry.
No, it's
You were nodding the whole
yeah.
time, so
Well, because you're right. I mean, a lot of that is sort of counterintuitive to typically how apparel works, and it's
yep.
very fascinating to hear that you guys have stuck with that model and found great success in it. And I think that that's a really interesting piece of your story.
Yeah, yeah.
So,
That
Yeah. Okay.
and I mean, with the changes, and I know, like you said before, like you kind of are an advocate for change and kind of evolving the business. I know one of the things you guys have really implemented is automation into the operations. So can you talk a
Yeah.
little bit more about your automated kind of storage and retrieval system, and how has it helped with speed and efficiency? How have you changed things?
Yeah, because we're so focused on this one model of, on demand fulfillment, print on demand, these things, we needed an automation system for picking and packing and, delivering orders around our own decoration facility and such. And so we looked hard and found in AutoStore a really super partner that could do exactly what it is we need to do. So now those of you in the know, the active pick module is an AutoStore module that was provided by a company here called Cardex, which is a really, really neat organization themselves. The partnership between Cardex and AutoStore is pretty awesome. So now we're able to, take the order flow through, whether it's from EDI or some other, cvcorporate.com, which is our major order entry system, or our own, kind of the hand key or the automated systems like promo standards, things like that. We're able to, process the orders into that pick mod and get them picked and packed almost immediately. I mean, it's really, really, really fast. In fact, it's kind of famous. It's like an apocryphal famous story now that like we had to slow it down because it was so fast that our customers were getting whiplash because they're like, no, I just entered the order. They're like, yeah, it's in the truck. And they're like, no, I just entered it. And they're calling us having problem, and we're like, okay, we got to slow this down. We need to like delay it. Like, so now we have like I think a 90-minute or 2-hour delay or something just to like calm down.
Yeah.
Like, don't pack it. Like,
Well, I think that
customers have
makes
issues
sense though, because sometimes I know I'll like put an order in. I'm like, oh no, I forgot I need to add this other thing, or I need to change it. So I think customers actually do want a little window for their mistakes. So I think that's probably good. What about
yeah,
like if
so
you're
we're still
doing like,
figuring out that like we want it now button.
yeah.
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 What
Yeah.
about like
Right.
for decoration though? That probably takes a little bit longer than just picking and packing.
Well, for decoration, I mean, you want to have the decoration is your bottleneck, right? So I don't mean that in a negative way. I mean that in the business way. Your decoration's your bottleneck. So you want to be just in time delivering those orders to decoration, especially in how we decorate lots and lots of ad hoc orders or print on demand single unit orders and stuff like that. We want to be delivering those orders just then. So we actually have the decoration gets in front of it. So the decoration calls, it's a Kanban type system. It calls for the orders. And so when the decoration system is ready, it's like, feed me some more orders. And it used to be that we would put those orders in like a 4-day work in process pile. And now it's like less than 4 hours. So we're just like, so the automation system, so the auto store system, which is our automation, pick and retrieval system, that enables us to have that super fast, that super short whip, and really do the print on demand really well. So we can't really do it faster. Like we're at 25 hours right now for a lot of our print on demand business that's driven through the retail consumer business. We can't do it faster. There would just be no efficiency in the in the
Yeah.
in the processes. So we can't ship it yesterday. You know, that's a that's reality.
Yeah. Yeah. Like at some point you have to hit like that barrier of reality, I
Yeah,
guess. Is that
we're there. Yeah.
yeah. Joel, where does AI play a role here for you guys? Because hearing you describe, these robotics and like the automation processes that you have and stuff, I'm hearing a lot of could be AI work in there. There's probably platforms.
Mhm.
Like, what platforms do you all implement or use? I mean, how has that really transformed your business, and how do you see it transforming the industry?
Well, our main software systems are, they have some kind of enablement with AI.
Yeah.
I can't speak to it because I don't dive deep into that. Where we're seeing the business really flow in like print on demand and using AI is like in content renewal. Like so that kind of a thing where that's a pretty cumbersome process. We like to display all of our products as WYSIWYG, and so the what you see
Yeah.
is what you get,
Yeah.
right? Some of you guys, you nod, you know that one. So we like to display that product. Like if the product has this logo on it, like we display it with that logo on it or with the Seahawks logo on it, whatever. So we display that all. So refreshing and moving all of that like onto AI powered platforms is really slick. So we're working on some of that right now, just so we can keep freshening our selection with all the different logos on it. So that's opening up. The automation has already opened up a lot of doors. It's kind of just the next one where you could get one step ahead of that. So where I see it changing the business is that a hassle of changing a catalog just evaporates, and
Yeah.
so then the rest of it we can go about thinking about not like, okay, I got to do a sales pitch and it's about like changing the catalog and like how long it's like, forget about that. Like the catalog's changed. So like, let's just talk about how to optimize the catalog
Yeah.
instead of, you know what I mean? Instead of that being a bottleneck, that opens up and then you're like, cool, well, let's put the best possible collection or selection of products out there for whoever the consumer is of that product. And that should be simple. Right now, I mean, there's still some bogging those things down. And that's what's, anyway, that's where I see things going, is that it just makes those things that are just frankly very cumbersome today, let's call it product setups or mudded UPCs or UPC setups, just make that smooth using AI, and then we're back to our day jobs rather than doing product setups all the time.
I mean, it sounds like that means there's still room for humans in this process, but they're doing higher level, like optimizing
Absolutely,
and
yeah.
whatnot.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, just pass along the stuff that's like, okay, I gotta, you'd spend like the nights and weekend doing style
Yeah.
setups, right? It's like, so then therefore you're not spending the time doing it because there isn't there's no value add to that, right? And so
Yeah.
that's a great place for AI to go in, is when there actually isn't human value add. It's like, it's just doing repetition. It's like, oh, I'm going to put this logo on every new collection item. It's like, okay, cool. Just tell it to do that and go do it. And then
Yeah.
be sane and do
Right.
something else with
Right.
do
Yeah.
something
I'm sure
else.
there's nobody that was sitting there thinking like, oh, I really wish I could still do that. That was my favorite part of the job, right? Like it's all the
Right.
things that people did not want to be doing.
No, yeah, for sure. I don't want to do them anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what we've talked about this a little bit already, print on demand, e-commerce, but I'd love to like kind of dive in further into how you guys are approaching on demand, how it fits into your business. And I guess, I mean, originally when I was writing these questions, I was like, do you approach it differently on your retail and promo sides? And I guess the answer would be no, because you said you have the one strategy, but I'd love to hear more about on demand and how that's working for you.
Well, you guys, I love talking about this topic because 2 years ago, I was screaming from the ramparts, like, will somebody in promo wake up to how this is happening in retail? Because it is like a real thing. And we're driving, consistent, triple and then double digit growth in print on demand and retail. And it's like, doesn't this sound like corporate programs? Doesn't this sound like company stores? This is all the same. So like, the fan shop experience that we're doing for retail. So that's really what we're doing. So much in retail, Teresa, I'm sorry to not be specific to your question, but so much in retail is like a fan shop.
Okay.
It just give it a name. Let's say it's a fan shop. I'm in Seattle, right? Seahawks fan shop, Broncos fan shop, whatever you want to do. Like it's a fan shop. You're gonna stand up that shop and you're gonna syndicate it to tons of different places, right? You're gonna put that in a lot of different eyeballs. NFLshop.com, anybody who's got a great fan shop experience in their own retail business, cutterbuck.com, all of our retailers that want to carry those. So we stand up those businesses, and then it's off to the races. People can be ordering that product on demand, and WYSIWYG with all the images and things like that. So that's what's happening in retail. Like it's very much happening, and it's just
Right.
skyrocketing because we're one of now that's to be said, we're one of few companies who can do this at scale. So over this past weekend, I think we got, I'm going to estimate 15 to 20,000 single unit orders over this weekend. So those will be out. Today's Tuesday. Those will be out by Wednesday, right? So like at scale, we're doing things that other people can't, but it's growing. All that is one Denver Broncos fan placing an order for a couple
Yeah.
items. Boom, that's one of those.
And I
Right,
should
that's
say
one of
that
those
this
units.
was
So like,
because people won't necessarily know this. We were recording over a holiday weekend, so if it were a regular weekend, they would have been done on Monday and out on Tuesday, right?
exactly
Yeah.
right. Yeah, yeah. I'm sorry. Yeah, thank you,
I
Teresa.
want
Thank
people
you,
to know
thank you.
like
So
how quick
like,
it actually is. There's not
Right.
even that day
yeah.
anymore.
So it's next. So it's really the next day
Yeah.
that we get to work on it. So it's really fast at scale. So now we're just out. We're really inviting in the branded merch space and the corporate promotional space. We're just inviting more people to utilize our platform. And so we have that platform, and then we also in the branded merch space, people have their own other platforms. So certainly we can syndicate blank products onto those platforms as well. So we're not the only ones that can do on demand decoration on our products. Certainly there's awesome people out there doing print on demand on all sorts of products. That's even, God bless them for doing it. That's, they're bringing it in from 10 different, 20 different vendors, and they're decorating on demand and splitting it back out. That's an amazing task as well. But for us, it's really the demand in retail was for small run print on demand. We built our engine towards it. Now we're ready in branded merch and the promotional space, and like, we're ready to go. So like, what's next
Yeah.
here? So that's where we are,
Right.
is crossing it over right now.
Cool.
Okay. Okay. Curious then, with all the stuff going on in the world, the global economy, supply chains, yada yada yada. Let's talk about tariffs, because that's a
Sure.
huge thing, obviously. So I primarily for Printing United Alliance work on the apparel side. Teresa's in the promo side.
Mhm.
You're in decorating, apparel, and promo. We've all seen it all,
Mhm.
and we've all seen the impact that this is having on the industry. So how have tariffs sort of impacted Cutter and Buck specifically? And then, what changes are you guys making to address that?
Well, certainly it's a squeeze on the contract manufacturing model, right?
Mhm.
And apparel, like all of us are mainly in the apparel space. It's lots and lots of contract manufacturing. It's like Cutter Buck was founded during a time when contract manufacturing has been the norm. You don't set up your own factory and hire your own employees to stitch your own thing.
Yeah.
That went away in like the 70s. It's not like recent. It went away a long time ago, 1970s, a long time ago. So we're in the contract manufacturing space. So ever since that time, ever since we were founded, we've had disruption. We've had
Yeah.
disruptive forces in the supply chain that have been considerable, whether it's quotas or this is like going way back. I mean, other sorts of things that disrupted the supply chain. So we're a very resilient company in regards to that. So we try to look ahead a little bit. We try to be ready for kind of the next thing. We try to be diversified while being committed. So that's like a hard thing. You want to build to help your factories get compliant. You want to be like committed to them, and then you also need to be diversified. So it's a really challenging bias in that. So I would say that we have weathered it well. I mean, I had an embarrassing moment this year because we had thought like tariffs kind of sorted out, and I committed. I was like, okay, cool, we're done. Like we did it. We're done making price changes, and then we were like hit with another round, and I had to embarrassingly say like, we have to change prices. That's embarrassing to me. So I'll maybe even for myself, I should have learned to be more kind of flexible than that. But we're just flexing with it. We have a very strong sourcing foundation. Um, like a lot of suppliers in our space, in the branded merch space or otherwise, we keep large stocks. So that helps you absorb cushion, that's a cushion against some changes. um it's a blessing and a curse, but like you have that cushion where you have a huge stock in your warehouse, and so when things change, it's going to take some time, and you have a little bit of time to pivot. And that's also an advantage of our model. So we talk about, we do what's called new available now model. So like we don't launch products until they're on the shelf into any of our channels. So like we're not at risk. So like if we've launched, in a traditional fashion business, you've launched your products for fall 2020. There's people that are in deep trouble right now, fall 2025 right now, right? Well, we didn't launch products in advance for fall 2025. That then, the bottom fell out of their sourcing model for that product. We don't have that. So like if maybe we delayed some products, which we did, we delayed some products, we resourced them, we figured some things out. So we'll have a little bit of delay to some introductions of products, between now, September, and the end of the year. But our customers won't really notice that because we don't tell them about the products until they're on the shelf, which is part of our model. So anyway, long story short, tariffs are hard to deal with. You better stay flexible and you better stay ahead of it.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Love it.
So, one thing that Cassie and I always like to talk about is sustainability. We're both, are pretty passionate about it. I write about it all the time for ASI. But I
Yeah.
would love to hear more about how Cutter and Buck approaches sustainability. How has the conversation about eco-conscious apparel been changing? And I'm wondering if having kind of the retail arm has kind of given you a leg up over other suppliers that are only selling to distributors. Has there been more push for sustainability in retail that's sort of trickling into to promo?
Yeah, interesting. Can I start at the end and then go backwards?
Absolutely.
Because at the end there, like retail versus promo, it's interesting because we've had more awareness about social compliance through retail
Okay.
over like the last decade. And I would say that the environmental and sustainability concerns have come more from the promotional space,
Okay.
where you have major companies concerned with it. So demanding that, oh, whatever we do for this trade show needs to be made from sustainable material. Like that came faster in promo than it did in retail.
I would
There's
have guessed the
no
opposite, but I
question,
guess it makes sense.
Yeah.
no, no question in my mind, because you have to do it at scale,
Right.
right? For promo, is always
Yeah.
at
Yeah.
scale. And then and so that's kind of the one. So social compliance more from retail, having to do with licenses and those other concerned parties and stuff like that. So we've been on that for a long time. But like Cutter and Buck was founded as a company working for sustainability in 1989. Like we were founded, trying to make products that as high quality and long lasting as possible, so that the impact was as low as possible. That is like the quality that's the thing. I mean, the math is super easy. A product that lasts twice as long has half the carbon footprint, right? Like so now if we have products that last 5 times, 10 times as long as a competitor's product, we know that we're lessening our footprint. So that's been in our makeup for a long way. We were founding members of SA 8000 like in the mid 90s. We've been concerned with this from the go. And as things have now accelerated, we've just accelerated it. And in the first big pass through it was that we were looking at social compliance first, being sure that our social compliance platforms are really up to snuff. We were able to help our suppliers be rising up, be making improvements and otherwise in the supply chain. And then we looked at our transportation, and that was where we had a fundamental shift in business model at Cutter and Buck, was that we eliminated air freight entirely. So, Cassie, back to like the retail business and like,
Yeah.
oh, you got to have it ready. Like if it's not ready for fall and da da da. So we had to like step away from a lot of business that was requiring, either air freight because things were running late, or air freight because that's the model. In 2017, I think we made the commitment that we were going to eliminate air freight entirely. So we have not used any air freight since 2020. Not even one shipment of air freight in our supply chain since 2020. I would challenge any other apparel maker on the planet to that. I would challenge them right now. I would challenge Patagonia to that right now. If they can look me right in the eye and say, we have not used air freight since, They have a retail business. If anybody who's doing it, so air freight is like a one, and it makes you change your business model. And so on top of that, we started to make those big concerns that by 2025, we wanted to have 90% of our products to be made with sustainable materials. We've moved very much. I think we're past that. I think we'll be, by the end of this year, we'll be past 90%. Really, every product family that we have that continues beyond 2025 is made from some form of a more sustainable material. And we're not washing it. It's certified. A lot of it is certified post-consumer recycled polyester.
Yeah.
That's kind of our sweet spot, is post-consumer recycled polyester. The supply chain is there for it, so we've leaned heavily into that. And so we'll be ahead of our targets. And then now we're looking at the next thing. Now we're looking at, okay, now how do we help our suppliers work on renewable energy in their areas? How do we look at consolidating orders into fewer shipments? How do we get these other things? So I would just say, Teresa, like, I would invite, if you want to learn more and more about it, or want to talk more and more about it, we're just being completely holistic about it, is that we run high volume products at factories that have great quality, high quality fabrics that are made from sustainable materials. We don't air freight it. We take consolidation. So we're working to basically get our baseline as low as we possibly can make it, and then start working towards the next big shift. So don't know exactly what that is yet, but all along the way, kind of getting these certifications and just being sure that we're doing it for ourselves, and so that every product is as sustainable as it can be. And then, kind of finally, and kind of loop it back to like the concept of like evergreen product series or evergreen product families, or whatever we call them. Like, I'm wearing the Coastline. The Coastline is an evergreen product series for us. We have little, long is a long sleeve hood. We have polo shirts in this. Da, da, da. Like, our intention, our plan is for that product to be in the line for over 10 years. Like, that's where we want to be. That is so much better for the world, for the environment, for our emissions and otherwise, if we can, when we build scale around these products, and kind of keep everything on the slow boat, keep everything moving, keep the quality really high, keep it really lasting, because then we're also not spending a lot of time, energy, and emissions developing
Right.
products. And so, as when we commit to a product, we're committing to a long time. The quality is going to be there for a long time, and then the sourcing is to be there for a long time, and we'll just keep making it better and better and more. And by that, we mean more and more sustainable.
The opposite of, I mean, even though you guys are very fast at doing things, it's the opposite of fast fashion, because it's something that's made to last, and, the styles kind of stay the same for a while.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Teresa, if I may,
Okay.
fashion is a dirty business.
Mhm.
Yeah.
That's why we don't do it.
Yeah.
That's my answer.
Yeah. So you don't,
It's a
don't
dirty
consider
business.
it
Fashion is
It's not
dirty.
fashion.
We don't do it.
It's clothing. It's apparel. Like, what would you call it
Yeah.
then?
Sustainable sportswear.
Okay.
I don't know what else to.
Yeah.
I
Yeah,
like that.
fashion is dirty. We need to help ourselves and help others get to it. But, I mean, you guys know, people say it all the time. Teresa, you're very close to it. Cassie, I've seen some of your things. Like people want things that last a long time, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, well, put your money where your mouth is. Buy things that last a long time.
Yeah. Yeah.
Thank you.
And wear them for a long time, and then repurpose them and give them to your brother, or give them to your sister, or to your kids.
Mhm.
Like,
Mm-hmm.
yeah,
Mhm.
yeah, we can do it.
I don't know about Teresa, but I have totally just put a little pin in. We're going to talk to Joel later about this, because I'm foreseeing in the future some cool projects and articles and content around the sustainability thing, because as everybody knows, Teresa and I could talk about this forever and ever and ever, because we both get real riled up. But
You can tell I do too.
in the interest of time, because we are coming to the end of
Sure.
the episode, Joel,
Okay.
one of the things Teresa and I like to do is we like to end our episodes on kind of like a fun, sort of silly, lighter note. So our final question to you is, if you walked into a room and a theme song started playing, what would it be and why? What's the Joel Free theme song?
Well, I'm a child of the '90s. I love the question. I'm a child of the '90s. I'm a big sports fan, and in the '90s, Ken Griffey Jr. in Seattle walked up to Hip Hop Hooray by Naughty by Nature, and it just gives you goosebumps. And I would say that if I were to be so honored as to have Hip Hop Hooray, such a celebration song, such a good hype song played, that's what I would like. That's what I would like. So I just have such a core memory of this is the famous Mariner Slugger from really great in the '90s. Maybe I'm dating myself for sure, but absolutely love Hip Hop Hooray by Naughty by Nature.
Yes. Love it. I think we're all ready to go out and let's go hit some grand slams now. I don't know. I'm ready. Let's go. Awesome, Joel.
Great, great,
Thank
great.
you. Yeah, we really appreciate having you on the show. It's been awesome. Like I said, I foresee some future projects coming, but thank you so much for sharing your story with us.
Yeah, you're welcome. Thanks for having me. I really appreciate. I really appreciate it. Really appreciate what you guys are doing. Thank you so much.
Awesome. Well, huge thanks again to Joel for being on Branding Together and taking the time to chat with us. But as we promised, it is time to wrap up with our fun segment. Today, we're going to play a game of Would You Rather Robot Edition. I just want to say that now, like Robot Edition. So basically, what's going to happen is Teresa and I have each come up with 3 Would You Rather questions that are robot/AI themed. Yes, we did enlist the help of ChatGPT. Full disclosure, used AI here, but we are going to provide our own feedback and answers. So, Teresa, do you want to go first?
Sure, I will go first. All right. Would you rather have a robot chef who cooks Michelin star meals but only serves them at 3 a.m., or a robot barista who makes the perfect latte but only in thimble-sized cups?
Oh God, no, definitely the Michelin star restaurant, like food at 3 a.m. If I only got a thimble size or a tiny little cup of caffeine, like I would become a gremlin. And B, I'm usually up at 3 a.m. anyway, despite my planning.
Well, yes, you're not the morning person because you're up at 3 a.m. Plus, you can always take that meal. I'm sure you could reheat it. Get a doggy bag.
Oh yeah, totally. Yeah, exactly. I'm sure the robot will provide the doggy bag,
And
right?
if not, I will get my own doggy bag. It'll be at home, so I'm sure I have some Tupperware somewhere.
That's right. You can definitely go find some. Oh, I love that one. Okay, good start. Okay, so my question. Would you rather have an AI assistant that perfectly predicts the next big promo trend but only speaks in pirate slang? Or do you want one that can instantly design flawless print layouts but insists on using Comic Sans for everything?
Oh, okay. I want the pirate one for sure. I hate Comic Sans. I mean,
Thank you.
it just gives me like the heebie-jeebies just saying the word. But I mean, talk like a pirate day. That's fun. Like who doesn't want to be a
Dude,
pirate?
exactly. I feel like you and I are the kind of people who would also just lean into it and dress like pirates.
Yeah, I think so for sure. All right. I like that yours are actually print and promo related, or at least that one was.
That was the only one.
Okay, good. Because I didn't. Mine are not like industry related at all. It's all
Yeah.
robot and very silly. All right, so here's my next one. Would you rather have a robot that folds your laundry instantly, but insists on folding everything into origami animals, or one that cleans your house but narrates the entire process in dramatic Shakespearean verse?
Okay. This is hard because I want both of them.
Well, it's actually
I hate laundry.
outside.
I hate it. Right. Well, so I hate laundry. So I really want a robot that would fold my laundry. I don't care what shape you put it in. Would you please just take care of it? But also having one narrate in Shakespearean rhetoric would be so fun for me. My husband would hate it, but I would love it. All right, fine. I guess if I have to pick one, number 1, the laundry one.
Okay, then I'll take the Shakespearean robot because I hate cleaning and I feel like I would be amused by the Shakespearean verse, or I would just put on headphones if it started to annoy me too much. Whereas,
go.
like, if you ever went on a cruise, like I think they fold your towels into like animals when you. I would just be concerned about like how are you going to fit these origami clothing into your dresser? So that would be my concern with that. So yeah, I would go with the Shakespeare robot for sure.
I like it. Okay, my second one. Would you rather have a robot pet that fetches your slippers and makes coffee, but occasionally tries to run for political office? Or one that tells you the meaning of life, but refuses to share the Wi-Fi password.
Oh, I mean, I guess I would go with the first one because just because he's running for office doesn't mean this pet is going to win. So let him have his like campaigning for a little bit and then he can come back and fetch my slippers.
Right. Right. He can go out on the campaign trail by day and get your slippers by night and morning. I love it.
Multitask. Or not multitask, but just, multi
But
talented.
yeah, right.
All right, my last one. Would you rather have AI glasses that translate any language instantly, but add a yo mama joke at the end of every sentence? Or AI headphones that play your favorite music, but randomly insert goat bleats?
I can't with this, Teresa. Probably the second one. Just because what a nice surprise to have go please.
Yeah, I think I would probably do that as well because
Yeah,
randomly, like, how often would it be? I bet you could get through a couple songs without hearing any goat bleats.
I feel like
I mean,
yes.
I guess it depends on how loud and obnoxious those goat bleats are,
Yeah.
but
But Yo Mama jokes would be really funny too. Oh, these are good. Okay. I for the record, after this, I might go find some more of these because these are so funny. And now this might be my new hobby on the side. Um, all right, my last one. Would you rather have an AI that can flawlessly plan every aspect of your life, but constantly calls you by the wrong name? Or one that remembers every detail about you perfectly, but only communicates in knock knock jokes?
I think I would like the planning one because I sometimes I get, stuck. I have so many things I want to do and I don't remember when they're happening. I mean, I think I need some help with that. So like if they don't remember my
Yeah,
name, it's fine. But I'll have a
sure.
perfectly planned schedule. I think I would like that.
I like that too. I'm the same. I've been called the wrong name like my whole life because people can't figure out that Cassie and Cassandra are the same person. So like I think I can deal.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, people are always taking the H out of my name. I get over it. So
There you go. There you go.
even though H
So
is Theresa is the proper way to spell my name. And any
well, obviously,
no offense to the H-less Teresas, but you're wrong.
your parents were wrong. All right, guys. Well, I hope all of you got as good of a laugh out of that as Teresa and I. We are very much looking forward to the month of October, where we have another really spectacular guest lined up. So stay tuned for that episode of Branding Together. Teresa, thanks so much.
Thank you.